good morning and thanks for joining us on Farming Today on the Ghanaian Farmer TV. My name is Enyona Manye Ajete. On this program, we'll be discussing pertinent issues regarding agriculture and agribusiness here, not just in Ghana, but across Africa. If this is your first time watching the live stream of Farming Today on the Ghanaian Farmer channel, on Facebook, and of course on YouTube, do make sure to join us every day between 11 all the way to 1 p.m. where we'll be delving into different sectors in the agriculture line. This episode is the first ever that we are streaming on the Ghanaian Farmer platforms, and our focus is going to be on assessing funding for agriculture products. I know a lot of young farmers who want to go into different sectors in the agriculture value chain have major hurdles, and one of them is funding. Well, we have someone in the studio to help us delve into this subject. He is play a lot of roles when it comes to funding, access to funding. Which one suits you? What are the requirements to be able to go or access funding? Tamakloe, or Anthony Tamakloe, is the CEO of Agrosafe Limited and of course the Executive Secretary of Grain Label Ghana Foundation. He'll be telling me more about this when we come back from this break. But go on our Facebook, our YouTube, LinkedIn, on Twitter, and drop a comment. Is there a comment or a question? We'll be back to delve into the subject matter. Stay tuned. For staying once again. Thanks for joining us for the first live stream of Farming Today on the Ghanaian Farmer channel. My name once again is Enyona Manye Ajete. When you see me in town, call me Ghana's finest farmer. Let's hear from you. Where are you watching from? Any question, what you make of this? Do we continue? How would we make it better? Let's hear from you. Thank you very much, Mr. Tamakloe. Thank you for coming to our studios.
My pleasure.
We are grateful for honoring our invitation. So today, our focus basically is on assessing funding for agricultural projects. Now, to start off with, if this is the first time someone is hearing funding for agricultural projects, what are we trying to talk about?
All right. So to put it in the very simple language,
exactly,
is to say where is the money for financing agricultural activity.
Right.
When you are talking about funding, you are talking about money. How to finance your agribusinesses. Yes. So in general, yes, it's good to start thinking about funding, but you also have to start from somewhere.
Right.
Okay. So I will start first by giving a general advice.
Please do.
Okay. Any SME that is looking at attracting funding must first think of formalizing. If I talk about formalizing, is to have one, your business registered. There are people who are carrying their whole business in their head. Yeah, they buy, they sell, they make profit. They know this transaction I've made 50 cedis, and that's the end of it. With that kind of thinking, you cannot access funding anywhere. So that's why I'm saying the first steps is to formalize your business. By formalization, I mean one, have your business registered at the Registrar General's department. Okay. That's the first step. The second step, make sure that you open an account in the name of your business. Even if it's a one-man business or sole proprietorship business or limited liability business, once you are registered, you have a bank account, maybe the next thing you might be thinking about is, okay, let me also be compliant as far as regulation is concerned. So let me approach GRA and see what is there. I know people, when they think about GRA, the first thing is, we are going to pay tax. Yes, it is good.
Yes.
There are some kind of funding that you need to formalize to that extent
before you can assess
them.
Okay.
So I normally talk about formalization first. So if you are the only employee of the business, walk to JRA, talk to them. I have a small business. I want to register with you. At least if I'm paying myself salary at the end of the month, I want to come and pay my PAYE.
Okay.
So they will give you your tax number.
Right.
That's the first step. You can also look at maybe the trustees. Go to SNIT, register with SNIT, register with the tier 2 companies, and have all the basic things ready. Then when you are now thinking about financing, you will go to the bank and they will say, okay, we want to see your financial statement for 2023. We want to see your numbers. And we're like, oh, last year we made 20,000 Ghana cedis. Where can they see it?
Okay.
Okay, so first formalize and make sure that your record keepings are intact. Then you can start thinking about funding.
Okay, so that's a great tip to start off with. We need to formalize before you are even ready to access funding. Now, are there types of funding that are available to our disposal, and what are they?
All right. So yes, there are various funding that are available for the agri sector. Currently, we have a lot of funding that targets the youth. You know, right now, government focus is on creating jobs.
Yes.
For the youth. And beyond the government focus of creating jobs, there are donor partners who are also looking at empowering the young people to become entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So if you are a young business owner, female, especially now the focus is also a lot more on the female.
We have the upper hand.
You know, there are projects that they will tell you that, okay, this one we want about 80% female participation.
Right.
So there is a lot of opportunities for female entrepreneurs as well. So if you are within that age bracket, 18 to 36, okay, there are special funding that are targeted at those group of people.
Right.
So already start thinking about formalization. Now, if you are talking about funding options, okay, you can access funding from the banks. That's also one source of accessing funding.
Okay.
Okay. Another source of funding will be looking at the grants.
Okay.
Another form of also leveraging resources to develop would be through partnerships.
Right.
Okay. So I will start first with the banks.
Right.
Then I'll dive into
the partnerships.
The partnerships.
And the grants.
And the grants. But I'll put the grants second.
Right.
Because there are also opportunities in that space as well. So for you to access funding from the banks, okay, you also have to look at the stage at which your business is.
Before I can go to the bank. Okay.
Obviously, if you started a business today, or maybe in 6 months, and you go to the bank, and you are even depositing money on the bank wants to see your cash flow. What money is coming in? What money is going out? What are available balances? They would want to look at your assets. What assets do you have? Because in any case, whoever is giving you money is also looking at return on the money that is being given to you.
Yeah.
That's why a bank will take an interest from you. Okay. But what I'm saying is that when you're accessing money from the bank as a very young business, you'll be servicing interest. You have to look at the level of interest payment vis-a-vis the return you are making on your business.
Yeah.
So if your profit margin is about 10%, and then you are taking a loan that you are paying about 36% per annum,
it's not favorable.
There is a mismatch. Okay?
Yes.
So at those startup, you could leverage on friends who can give you some small money to grow your business up to a certain point where you are formalized, you have your account, money is passing through, you are keeping records of everything that you've done, you are running your financial statement that the banks can look at your books and see that, okay, these are your inflow, these are your outflows, these are your end balance over a long period of time, these are the assets that you have available to you, then you can start thinking about going to the bank.
Okay. So
for loan.
Right.
Okay. And also, beyond just having a strong financial record, you also need to demonstrate that whatever you are taking the money to invest into is profitable.
Okay.
So the banks will always ask you for probably a business plan. That's why they will ask you for your business plan.
Right.
Okay, you are taking money from us. What plan do you have for the money? So you need to develop a business plan that outline what the vision of the company is, what your missions are, where your market is. At the end of the period when we need payback,
Right.
we can get our money.
Okay.
So those are the basic things, because they are invested, they have return on investment. Okay, so the person putting in the money is also looking at the return that they will get.
Yes.
So if your business plan doesn't demonstrate at the end of the day, or it's not convincing,
It's not viable, that's where you don't get the money. Okay.
That you don't get the money.
Right.
And also for the agri space, there are a lot of the banks are a bit, I wouldn't use the word skeptical, but a bit
They
more,
hesitate.
not really, I wouldn't use the word hesitant. Their criteria for evaluation is a lot more
Tight.
because
For the agriculture people.
Because the risk there
is high. Is that the perception, or is that the reality?
No, I think it's a reality.
Okay.
Because once there is a risk, okay, there are two things. The risk would also inform, for example, if we go for a private person to lend, they will look at, okay, if I put in this money, what is the against weather, insurance against maybe pests, and then we also have other institutions that provide agricultural guarantees.
Right.
And sometimes those guarantees are given to you without you even knowing, because the bank will do their background work, see that this particular proposal is viable, we want to finance it. But because we see some risk, they might leverage on some organizations that can provide a guarantee,
reassurance,
exactly, at the back without you
knowing.
Okay, so right now I think if I compare what is happening today against what happened maybe 2-3 years ago, it is a lot more positive that the banks are lending to agriculture.
Okay.
I think some of them that I know of are even lending as low as 10%. I don't want to mention directly names of
we
banks.
will not advertise any bank.
Any of those things.
Right.
But there are banks today that are lending as low as 10% to the agri sector.
Okay.
If you have all the things I've spoken
mentioned
about in place, your
financials
chances are good. You have a very good business plan that can convince somebody to invest. You can really access
funding from the bank. All right. So let's move to the grants.
Yeah. So the grants is a very good funding source. That is, if you are able to access it for a startup business.
Okay.
Because at that time, you are taking baby steps, like you are crawling, you are now trying to get up. You know, when the baby crawls and they get up, even though they started walking, but they don't start walking all of a sudden.
No.
When they start walking,
it's step by step. They get
up, they fall, they get up, they fall. So at that stage, which is the initial stages of your business, if you can leverage on grant funding to grow up to the point where you can now think about the big investment, partnerships, and the rest, I think that's what I would recommend for most startups.
Okay.
There are some grant fundings that are not, let me use the word 100% grants.
Okay.
If I say 100% grant, maybe you access $20,000 and all is in grants. You are putting it into equipment, production, or something. You don't need to pay back.
Right.
There are some of them too. It's a mix of a grant and a loan. So there is one currently running. I don't know if the deadline has already passed. They call it Orange Corners.
It's still running?
Yes. I think it's a partnership between Fidelity Bank and the Dutch embassy.
Okay.
Call it the Orange Connect.
Right.
And I think if you are, as I did indicate, that there are a lot of opportunities for young guys between the age of 18 and 36
Okay.
or 35.
Right.
That's the age range for
The Orange
Connect
program.
as well.
Okay.
Okay. So just imagine you have that. You want to assess that. You've not registered your business. Don't have a bank account. You are not even keeping records. If you apply for it and they even decide to give you the money, where are they going to put the money? Okay, that's why I say formalization.
It's very important.
Very important.
But you know that, please, let me come here. You know, when it comes to the agriculture sector, formalization is still a trend we are catching up with. So if grant people or banks or sources of funding are all requesting for formalization, it means that we will never get this money.
No, that's what I'm saying, that you want the money.
Yes, I want the money.
The money. I want the money.
Yes.
You won't go and the money will be given to you on table.
Okay.
The money needs to go somewhere.
Right.
Okay. Where the money will go will be your bank account.
Okay.
Now, if you don't have your business formally registered, what then are you taking to the bank to even go and open your account in the first place? I hope you understand.
Yes, please, I do.
So, for the Orange Connect, for example, it's a mix of grants and loan. I think the total amount you can access is about €50,000, and 30%, which is about 15,000, will be given in grants, and then the remaining 70% is in loan. And I think that one, to the interest rate is just around 10%.
Okay.
So right now there are innovative financing for the agri sector. So for the grants, USAID is one of the main.
But Donald Trump, Adarama.
USAID is one of the main financiers also for the agri sector in Ghana.
Yes.
Now that we don't have USAID,
Yes.
there are other donor agencies
Such as?
that have some kind of funding running. We have GIZ, which is also one of the major donor partners in Ghana that has
For agriculture sector.
Exactly, in the agri space. I know they have a project that they call AgriBees, being run by GIZ. It's also giving some kind of that mechanism for SMEs to access some form of funding. They're also giving capacity support and all those other things as part of the package.
Okay.
We also have another one they call Invest for Job, also by the same GIZ, also running. We have other institutions like MasterCard Foundation. As I know, I don't know whether they have any call for concept that is currently running, but I know MasterCard Foundation is also key in those areas. So for grant for the agri space, yes, there are grant opportunities that are available. They all don't come at the same time. They come at different times of the year. So it's also a space you have to be watching if you really need to access funding.
Right.
So you can check from various sites which grants are currently available. One of the things I also advise is that once you're in the agri space, don't work in isolation.
Okay.
So for example, if you are a farmer, look for farmer groups that you can join.
Okay.
If you're an aggregator in the horticulture space, look for a platform that's working with aggregators in the horticulture space and join.
Okay.
Because if some of those grant opportunities come, you are not able to research yourself and see which grant is currently in the system. Some of them post those opportunities on those platforms. So if you are doing your own business in your own silo, not talking to anybody, it's also a limiting factor. So it belongs to a network of people who are doing something similar to you.
Right.
So that if those opportunities come, you can be able to access it. So I'm talking about Orange Corners today. Somebody might be looking for funding in the agri sector.
Right.
He has never heard of
Orange Corners
because you are working in isolation. But probably if you have belonged to a group of people who are doing similar thing with you, probably you might have that information available to you, and then you can leverage on it. Yeah.
Now, if we are looking at the area of grants, what are some of the requirements apart from the formalization, which is you have to register the farm, you need to have a business account in the name of the farm, you need to keep records, how much did you start the season with, after sales, how much did you make? Apart from those petty things that are required, is there anything else that would boost my chances of accessing grants?
Yes.
Okay, what are these?
Yeah, so every grant has a specific focus. Okay, there are farms that are focusing on, for example, climate smart agriculture.
Okay.
So in their call, they have what they call a call for concepts or call for proposal, RFPs. When they put out those RFP, so in the process, so typically for a grant, the call for concept note will come if you belong to network of companies as I've spoken about.
Yes.
You'd have probably get to hear of it. That's the first level. The second level is read through the RFP and see what is the area.
What is RFP?
Request for proposal.
Right.
So those requests for proposal that you would have put out, read through it and see which direction is it going through. Assuming that the activities I want to implement is focusing on job creation, but that call for concept is talking about climate smart. Now, if I put in my proposal, there will be a mismatch.
Yes.
Because when they read it, they say, okay, this person's focus is not about
job creation.
It's not about the climate smart.
Okay.
It's rather about job creation.
Right.
So even though you might put in a very good concept note, you will still not be.
You will not be able to assess.
Exactly. So
okay.
First read through it, and whatever you are putting in as your concept note should align.
Okay.
To whatever the donor partner is looking for.
Right.
Now, if you come into the main writing itself, what I always tell people is that be truthful about your business as much as possible. I should be truthful about the farming I'm doing. Yes. If it is 1 acre tomatoes, I should say it's 1 acre tomatoes. Exactly so. I shouldn't exaggerate. But it's exaggerating that would, you know, open my chances of getting the money. It doesn't work like that. So what happens is that whoever is giving you the money, even assuming you put in your request, your request is accepted. Okay. Approval has been given. They will not just throw the money at you. Even after approval is given, they will do what they call due diligence. Due diligence means that they will come to your facility, whether it's a pack house, whether it's a cold storage, they will come and do verification. Right. Okay, I've been in those positions before. I supported some companies to raise funding in terms of grants. Unfortunately for me, I didn't visit some of the businesses to see what they've done. Right. I sent them a very nice form to profile their business for me, to tell me all the things that they are doing. Then turn it into a nice story and present it to the partners. Concept note was selected, everybody was happy. Then before they will give the approval and even sign contract, they come for due diligence. Okay. They come for due diligence. The guy is processing maize, several tons of maize, and then he's sending it to Guinness, Ghana, mention a few companies. And that's what I put into the proposal. Right. After they were accepted, and then they go, and they went to the facility for inspection. You're not, where are your dryers? So this is your facility. You're saying the dryer is about 45 minutes drive from where your business is. It's already they realize that what we put into the concept note that made them to select us is not the reality on the ground. So if you have only 2 staffs that you are working with, please be truthful enough to say that. Indeed. I have 2 staffs. Right. And sometimes, this is one critical thing I want to talk about. For the concept notes, these are the secrets. Okay. In writing your concept note, you have to paint a picture of your company to whoever is reading. When you yourself, you are not there. People will write so many things. Yeah. Yeah, this is my company, we are located here. Yes. And then we are doing this profit, we have this big farm, we have this. Whatever you are writing, paint a picture to whoever is reading. such that by the time you finish reading, that's your background, your business background, you have clear picture of what they are expecting to see when they visit your facility.
Right.
And when you are able to pay
Align
the growth
right
that you are looking for.
Okay.
So those are the few things that I'll have to share as far as grant is concerned, especially if you are looking at accessing grant funding here in Ghana.
Okay, so for all you know, there's a farmer out there watching this program, and the question he or she is asking is, what sort of projects does grant support or does loan support? So is it the horticulture space, which is the tomato, onion, cabbage, carrots, or is it the aquaculture area? Do I go into catfish farming or tilapia farming? And then how about those who are doing livestock? The goats, the piggery, the cow, that is also then the value addition, the agribusiness guys, those who buy the farm produce, add value, and of course the exporters. So in this circle of things I've mentioned, which one do grants mostly favor, so that I'll position myself at a corner where I would always be at an advantage?
All right, that's a very nice one. But the advice that I will give in that area is that don't set up what you want to do based on how easily you can access funding.
Okay.
Venture into what you want to do because you have the passion for it.
Okay.
The agri financing cuts across the value chain,
right,
as I've indicated. Whether you are in the horticulture space, whether you are in the space of cereal, whether you are in the space of aquaculture, whether you are in the space of rearing goods, poultry, whatever, grants come across all of them, depending on which development partner is providing the funding.
Okay.
So, for example, I'm talking about a project that is supporting job creation. Job creation is independent on whether you are into value addition, whether you are into production, whether you are into livestock, or whether you are into poultry. What you must demonstrate is that at the end of the day, whatever activities that you are implementing will lead to job creation.
All right.
Some of them, some of the grants will also specify the value chains that they want to work with. Some of them will specify they want to work with cocoa, maize, cereal. Some of them will want to specify they want to work with pepper, tomato, onion. So for wherever the grant funding is coming from, it cuts across the chain.
Okay.
But in you set up based on passion, what you want. It has to live, it has to be sold.
Yeah.
Now, if you are going into that space, and you are thinking of going into production, already start planning where your market is.
Okay.
So that at the end of the day, you don't have a very good harvest, but at the end of the day, you don't earn any significant revenues from it.
Right.
I've been in the space for a while, and one thing I can tell you for sure is that there is a reason why they call it a value chain. Every point on this agri chain, there is value. If I talk about value in simple languages, there is money.
Okay.
Whether you are in doing the farming, there is money there. There is value there. If you are aggregating, there is value there. If you are marketing, there is value there. If you are processing, there is value there. So look at the chain and see where you have the strength to position yourself. And
Great.
then be there and belong to an association
Great.
that can share knowledge with you.
About the association, we would talk about it, but you've mentioned some development partners like WFP, Dutch Embassy, GIZ, USAID, but you haven't talked about government. What role does government play? Abain, Ghana Abain, what role do they play in creating or in supporting young farmers with funding? And what are some of the projects you remember that government has done which is mainly towards giving funding to young people?
All right. So funding cuts across, as you did indicate, the whole chain.
Yeah.
And you cannot talk about funding for agriculture without talking about government.
Okay.
There are several interventions that various governments have implemented over the years.
Right.
And even with this new government, we are hearing, what's the name?
Feed Ghana Initiative.
Feed Ghana Initiative.
Yes.
Okay. So government supports SMEs in various forms.
Yeah.
Okay. If you look at PFJ, we have PFJ1 and
Yes.
PFJ2.
Yes.
That is support. You see, when we talk about support, it might not always necessarily be in monetary terms. If I give you money to produce tomato today, there are basic things you buy. You would have bought seed or probably seedling.
Yes.
You would have bought fertilizer. You would have bought chemical. You would have bought a few things that supports the production process. So if PFJ is not giving money, but it's giving you seedlings, it's giving you fertilizer, it's giving you agrochemical, it's like giving you money.
Okay.
So I can talk about PFD1, PFD2, their government support towards the agri space. We also have this, what we call the Ghana Skills Development Fund.
Yes.
They support a lot of businesses I know in the agri sector to build their capacities to better do what they are doing. So if, let's say, this production season, you have challenges with pests, you are not able to deal with it. You invest 40,000. At the end of the day, you got 41,000. It means that your margin is 1,000 cedis. If government comes through skills development fund, for example, to build your skills, to be able to better manage that pest. So the next production season, you put in 40,000 and you are making 80,000. Even though the skills development doesn't come in a form of money, the knowledge that you've gained is actually putting money in your pocket. Okay. Previously, we also have a project that they call GCAP, Ghana Commercial Agriculture Project, of which Green Label, which the company I work with, we also benefited directly from. So government's role in agri financing cannot be underestimated. They contributed significantly to financing. Sometimes, as I indicated, people are not communicating among themselves enough within the chain. So there are opportunities that come, but they might not even hear about it at all. And then tomorrow they'll be like, oh, this money, they're only giving it to their own people. But it is not like that.
Indeed, I've heard that a lot of the times. Oh, sekani ba no yadima omo party ma. Sekani ba no yadima omo party ma. But Mr. Anthony Tamakloe is asking, if you are not strategically positioned, if you don't belong to association, to say horticulture business platform, to say FAGE, people who are into export, they have their own group. We have vegetable VPEC, Vegetable and Food Farmers Association. And say, if you are not positioned in any of these associations, I know, sir, we have tomato farmers, we have onion farmers, coconut farmers. And say, if you're a young farmer, being it a crop farmer, an aquaculture, a livestock farmer, if it's about funding, please make sure, sir, you formalize the business. It is well registered. Look for banks now, we are agribusiness focused. There are some banks that have agribusiness decks now. Look for them and make sure you have an account with them. Then associations, when we come back, we are going for a quick breather. When we come back, Mr. Anthony will tell us some of the associations that you should join, the benefit that comes with it. They organize trade shows. And this is Farming Today on the Ghanaian Farmer TV. My name is Enyona Manya. When you see me in town, call me Ghana's finest farmer. If you have any question at all, drop it and we would read for him to answer. Any comments, let us know. I'm going for a quick breather. I'll be right back. Stay tuned. Thanks for staying. If you just tune in, you're watching Farming Today on the Ghanaian Farmer TV. I'm sure you're surprised, like, oh, Ghanaian Farmer, you are all about farming and all that. Yes, we are evolving. We are adding more content to the Ghanaian Farmer because there are a lot of conversations to be had about the agriculture sector, and that's what we are doing. We've created a platform where we can have more conversations. So if you are in the business, fertilizer companies, seed companies, you are into anything agri, food, water, please come and advertise. We have bills to pay. It's moment. Come and let's advertise for you. Very good, affordable packages, and we'll promote you. So back to the conversation. And the topic we are discussing is assessing funding for agricultural projects. And we've looked at the bank as a source. We've looked at grants as a source. We've talked about how to formalize the business so that you are well positioned to be able to attract funding. Now, you kept hammering on belonging to a network or belonging to an association. What are some of the popular associations that if a farmer, I am into vegetable farming, if I register to join that, I can benefit? What are some of the benefits?
Okay, so I work more in the horticulture space.
Okay.
So the associations that I will mention will be biased towards horticulture.
No problem.
Okay. So in the horticulture sector, if you are into production of vegetables and you are looking to belong to a network of vegetable producers where they share knowledge, attend trade shows and all those things together, then you might be looking at VPEG.
Okay.
VPEG simply means Vegetable Exporters and Producers Association of Ghana. They've all come together under one umbrella, and then they have an association. So if you are into the vegetable space, you can just type VPEG, Google VPEG,
okay,
and then I'm sure you'll be able to get a contact to register.
Right.
We also have the horticulture business platform, which also seeks to bring all the value chain actors along.
Gifty money account. Is that not account?
Which of the two do you love most, yourself or your business?
We are the same.
You cannot be the same. Okay. So, no serious investor,
right?
Okay, would bring his money and put it in your personal account. If he's bringing his money, maybe he's bringing it as a loan.
Okay.
At the end of the day, he wants to take his return and go.
Right.
Maybe he's bringing it as equity to also own a small portion
in the business.
Of your business.
Okay.
So if I'm coming even to give you as a loan today, or in a form of equity that we can work together, and you are telling me that, oh, this business that I even have running, I don't even have an account.
Okay.
The name is just something I dreamt about, and I've been using it to work for about 5 years. What you are communicating to me is that you are not really looking at what you are doing now as a long-term sustainable business. Okay. And therefore, if I give you that money,
force that agriculture project developers should avoid when seeking for funding, and how do we mitigate the risk?
Okay, so what I would say would be, you see, there are various funding options.
Yes.
For various projects, and I think one of the key challenges, if you ask me, that I would want to talk about is that, you see, if you are looking for funding into building a cold storage, for example, or a pack house, for example, for your business.
Yes.
Okay. That money is not going into your working. It's not going to be part of your working capital.
Okay.
That money is going into fixed assets.
Right.
For that fixed asset to pay back, that's in terms of project. For you to be able to pay back for that fixed asset, you are not talking about 2 years.
Okay.
You are not talking about 3 years. You are not talking about 4 years. Sometimes you are talking about 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you go to the bank and you are 2 years in the business, for a bank to give you, let's say, 5 million for a fixed asset, the question is, would the bank have that patience to wait? Into fixed assets, and those capital investment needs the medium to the long term. So when you are looking at investing in those huge infrastructure, try and align the payback of your infrastructure with the kind of funding that is available. Otherwise, you might not get it. If I'm looking at lending to you for 3 years and you are bringing me a project that is paying back in 15 years, obviously you can have the best of the plan, but you might not get the money. So I think that's where there are a little bit of things that you
need to work on.
You might want to.
Okay, so I'm going to be picking some few questions from social media, and then we would, be getting ready to wrap up our conversation. So this one is from Kaba. Is it a woman Kaba or is it a man Kaba? Cyrus Kaba. He says, good initiative. I want to venture into pepper, vegetables, cabbage, etc. Farming, especially dry season farming. But due to lack of source of water, I'm helpless. I want to be supported, especially with the source of water. Thanks. With such a person, what support are available? I guess he wants to do irrigation farming so that even in dry season he can take advantage and then grow and sell. Are there any support that are tailored towards irrigation? Is there anything of that sort?
Yes, there are supports that comes in various forms.
Right.
Sometimes they might not even say it is tailored towards irrigation, or it's tailored towards solar-driven irrigation or whatever. But it is for you to present what you want to do to your financier.
Okay.
The challenge I see with what he or she is trying to do, you see, if you come to production of fruits and vegetables, is a critical area that requires a little bit of the technical know-how. If he's already an agronomist, already have the expertise, then I would think that once you don't have the support now, the best option for you is to get a land closer to where there is an irrigation system already.
There's water source already.
There's water source already. So it's like you are building a factory. One of the things you want to see is how close is the raw material to me, so that I can easily access it. So if he's already a technical person, what he might be thinking of, how do I then set the farm closer to a river source that I can have access to water?
Right.
Now, if he's not a technical person, but he still have the passion of doing it, then in the process of setting up, he should engage somebody who has the technical expertise and can
support.
Okay. Otherwise, maybe he has money to invest, and he's looking at those areas. But if you don't have the technical person helping you to do it well, you might put in money and come back and say Agric is not profitable when it is profitable.
Is it profitable?
It's very profitable.
All right. So this is from Wanda Kess. He says not all farmers could access grants through internet. Government must come on board to support farmers at right direction, so that at the end of the day, money can go straight to farmers. I don't know if you got the question.
Yeah, I get the question.
Okay.
Now you see, from what the experiences I have built over the past 6 to 7 years in the agri space. Maybe unless my memories are not correct, I've not seen any government giving money directly to farmers to do A, B, C, D, E, or F.
Okay.
They might support you with inputs. They might support you with fertilizers. They might support you with some basic farm implements that you need to work with. So I think the advice I'll give him is that you see, we have to move beyond. I won't use the word beyond aid. I'm not. You know,
Ghana beyond aid.
This is the business that you want to have.
Right.
Then have the right technical expertise to be able to produce it well. I entered the agri space, or let me give it, I entered the agri space, worked in the agri space for a while, and I see that there are value here, and here. Where I see the value, I decided to plug in. And from where I sit, it's not like somebody comes to tell me that agri is profitable. And I'm sitting here to say it. I'm also a player in the sector. If you find the right spot on the chain to put yourself and have the right technical support, there is no way you come back and say that agri is not profitable. So I'm calling for a lot of the young guys. This is the message. A lot of the young guys. I know we have the young unemployed graduate
association.
I think
only in Ghana.
It is time for just aggregating farm produce. This is one of the things I do. Just aggregating farm produce, taking it to the market, because it's also part of the chain. The farmers have the produce. They don't know where the market is. I know where the market is. I can aggregate from your farm and go and sell it. At least the margins you even make in a month, I'm sure there are people who are sitting in their offices and
are not making that money.
So instead of sitting home and be lamenting I would encourage, if you have the passion, find a spot
in the value chain.
In the value chain.
And
create
invest.
Something for yourself.
Okay.
And you see that next time you don't want to be part of that.
All right. So extra questions. This is from YouTube. It says it's from SK Boda. Say thank you, the Ghanaian farmer. Is there grant support for aquaculture? What requirement do I need to meet to access it?
Okay, so as we've indicated earlier, we've stated all the eligibility criteria for assessing grants in general. So I think that one we've spoken about it already. What I'm not able to tell is whether currently there is a funding or there is a grant available for the aquaculture. We can research that and make that information available.
Okay.
But I'm sure whichever space, in course of the year, you have something coming up.
Okay. All right.
And I also mentioned that there is some that are coming up that is tailored towards job creation. So anything that is tailored towards job creation, whether it be aquaculture or whatever, once it's able to create job, you can take advantage of it.
Okay. Someone else. Okay. Aquaculture, you've answered it. This one is from Kweku Edu. Please send notification whenever you are going live so we can plan to watch. Yes, sir. Kweku Edu. The next time we'll send notification so you can watch. This one is from Sam Edumoja. He says, listening live from Poland. Hello. Shout out to all Poland people. Thanks for joining us. Thank you very much. We appreciate you for joining us. This one is from Nas. Nas says, Kweku Edu, I second this. Okay. Thank you very much for supporting. Kweku Edu says, can he write them or publish them here? The associations you mentioned, I think Kweku wants you to mention them again so that he can take notice and join which one he belongs to accordingly.
Okay, so all we can do is after the program,
yes, probably
I can go and directly respond to those comments.
Okay.
The various associations
that they can join. Okay, that's very good. All right, so agriculture, you just mentioned that is a very profitable venture. So if you are part of the Unemployed Graduate Association, Mr. Anthony Tamakloe says, please, deactivate your activation and come into the agriculture space. But the enthusiasm and the interest to go into the agriculture space is growing every day. And young people are looking forward to being supported and all that. And you are saying that technical knowledge is also support. It's not always.
agriculture in Ghana.
Yeah.
And I like the passion, pushing the youth into agriculture. You visit farms and you bring stories. Sometimes if you watch it, then you realize that, look, and you look at every day we eat. Which day have you woken up from morning up to evening and you haven't eaten? There are, even if you take Ghana alone, there are 30 million people that needs to be fed every day. So as for agri, I think it's an area that we all have to really focus. Now, I'm calling a lot of them to go in.
Okay.
The mismatch is the fact that somebody gets up and says, I want to go into farming. And as I did indicate, there are some of the places within the chain that require some technical knowledge. If you are doing aggregation, assuming that I have 10 farms, 10 poultry farms that have decided to work with me as an aggregator,
right,
to pick eggs from their farm and distribute. What do you need in that space? Probably a van to transport and a little bit of marketing to be able to sell. So not so much of a technical staff. But where you want to go into the direct production, it's either you yourself, you have the capacity to implement those sustainable practices that you are talking about, or you have somebody who provides you guidance on how you should be able to do it.
Okay.
So, for example, we have Isoko, which provide updates on weather information to farmers.
Okay.
If you have probably gone for a little bit of a technical consultation, the person that probably sign on to Isoko's weather forecast platform, because even beyond weather, they provide market information to farmers.
Okay.
So at the time you are already harvesting, if it is tomato, you know that this is how much tomato is currently going for on the open market, and that also informs how you price your farm product. So I also think that there is quite a lot of information.
Some of the available sites that we can secure grants for our businesses. Do you know some websites that I can frequently visit to check on when they open their portal for grants and all that? What are some of the sites? Can you share them?
Okay, yeah, there are a few sites that you can leverage. Sometimes even just go to Google. Funding opportunities in Ghana.
Okay.
Now there is a lot of AI built into some of those SOE, search optimization engines. So when you even type funding opportunities in Ghana, the orange corners I'm talking about and all that, it will pop up.
They will pop up
for you. So I think orange corners is if you are between the age of 18 and 36. I think orange corners is one of the one that are currently running. We have another one called Invest for Jobs that's been implemented by GIZ. I think you can access up to a maximum of 2.5 million euro. That's the maximum you can access on that.
That's a lot of money.
A lot of money. So those ones people usually. So if you look at a grant ticket, that is offering you 2.5 million euro maximum. Those are the ones that if somebody wants to go into projects, putting up a huge agriculture facility, these are the types
you can look at such grants to apply. Okay, I think someone is somebody they verse you for here. Wanda said this man keeps talking about technical support. Agric is very expensive business. Without money nor proper network, one can't penetrate. Why always giving out fertilizer? Is the way for Ghanaian government. They should invest in the youth. Somebody invest for you.
Okay, so when you said you should invest in the youth.
He says Agric it's money. They need money. And not fertilizer. Fertilizer and seed. And
okay, so what it is that government doesn't get up and just give fertilizer.
Okay.
It depends on where you are. If you are a farmer, okay, as I think I said this earlier. If you are a farmer and you tell me you are a farmer and you need support from me as government, I have two options.
Okay.
Either to give you 10,000 to go and buy those inputs yourself, or I'll buy it for you.
Okay.
So sometimes people are interested in the money and not the work. So maybe I might be wrong, but I think government is also trying to be strategic.
Okay.
That if you really say you are doing this, then I'm giving you the things that you need to be able to do them, rather than giving you money. So those are the options. If he said investment, I want to understand maybe he's not doing direct production. Maybe probably he's doing value addition, and he's looking for money for probably a packaging facility or a capital investment. Those ones, they are funding for it, but you also need to build your cash flow up to a certain point to be able. I would say that let the business grow organically.
For what should be the duration? If I'm a young farmer and I'm hoping to access funding, how long should I run the farm for? And then I would be ready enough to now step into the...
Well, most of the banks, if you go to them, they'll say run your account with us for 6 months.
6 months, okay.
Yeah. But, some of these projects that you see around will tell you that a minimum of...
The grant proposals.
Exactly. Some of them, there are some grant proposals that will even state how long you should be operating.
Okay.
At least if you run your business for 2 to 3 years, it's an indication to me that it's something that you want to do over a long period of time. People start things and they stop midway.
Okay.
Even if you run your business for 6 months, what's the potential that you continue for the next 2 or 3 months?
Okay.
So they also want to see, because it's money coming in. So
Yeah.
they also want to get the results at the end of the day. If I'm a donor partner, wherever I'm taking the money from, our target is to create 10 million jobs. And you come to me that you are going to help me create 2 million of those jobs. And you have been operating for 3 months. And you are coming to me to give you $500,000. And we want to see is something you have done over a period of time. And we can be sure that this is a sustainable business, or this is a business that has potential to grow.
Okay.
And then they can put in the
Alright.
the funding.
Okay.
So let's be patient with the funding. If your business is profitable, you should be able to run for a while and build a base. And now you can go and look for the higher tickets. There are a lot of investment advisors around that can help you get the higher ticket. But some of the people who are bringing in money, the kind of money they are bringing in, if somebody is bringing $1.5 million into your business, and your annual turnover or your annual revenue is $200,000,
Yeah.
would a person put in that money? Because your revenue that you are generating in a year is very small compared to the investment that you are bringing in. So if you have talked to an investment advisor, they would have told you, okay, do a lot more of market outreach.
Okay.
Grow your revenue in a year
Okay.
to like $1 million. Then you can now access a grant funding around $800,000 or $900,000. Then you know those gaps are closed. But you are operating an annual revenue of 200,000 Ghana cedis, and you want somebody to give you an investment of 10 million Ghana cedis.
But the projection was in this one as soon. The vision way I get for my iTop is very big. And that's why we are asking for that big money.
The vision too, you have to grow it in a way that is commensurate.
Okay.
The gap shouldn't be so wide.
Right.
If your annual turnover is 2.5 million Ghana cedis, and you go to somebody that you are looking for a loan of 1.5 million, I think the person will pause back and say, well, this guy is doing well. He's earning enough. So if you are asking for this, maybe something we can give consideration.
Okay.
But if you are doing 500,000 and you come to me that you are looking for 5 million, straight in my head I'm saying this guy is just looking for some money to jump on and go.
Right.
So when we are applying for the funding, we should have all these considerations. Sometimes the way you even just present it to whoever is putting in money already sees that I'm not ready to put my money.
Okay.
Those are things that we have to keep in mind when we are looking for money.
Very insightful conversation right here on Farming Today on the Ghanaian Farmer TV. Let me give a big shout out to our sponsor, our partner, Roko Nano Urea. Roko Nano Urea. Caring for you. We care for farmers. Roko Nano Urea is a liquid-based fertilizer that provides nitrogen to the plant through its leaves. The technology ensures that the plant absorbs more than 80% of the nutrient. Roko Nano Urea is equal to that big bag, like, cement bag of urea you buy. Roko Nano Urea is equal to that. The benefit, higher yield, increased income, less chemical, environmentally friendly. It enhances your crop quality, and of course, easy transportation. It's just like a water bottle. You put in your pocket and you're good to go. So the dosage, mix 2 ml to 4 ml of Roko Nano Urea in 1 liter of clean water. Method of application: first foliar spray, an initial stage. The growth stage, when it's at the vegetative stage, you can do the first spray. The second one, for better results, spray after 2 weeks of the first spray. You can do your Roko Nano Urea spraying. And if you're looking to buy across the entire 16 region, from Volta region, Greater Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, anywhere, you will get Roko Nano Urea. Just walk into any agrochemical shop, Nakaseme Roko Nano Urea, or you can call us, JK Industries Limited, on 0267 01 1111. I mention again 0267011111. Roko Nano Urea, caring for you. And this year, if you are a farmer, share the one koto any other urea fertilizer apart from Roko Nano Urea. And also a big thank you to our second sponsor, Aldec Consultancy. Aldec upasase atogana ha. If you want farming land, sell water, sell whoop a long lease, a very big, people will come in, 100 hectares, 150, That is what Aldec Consultancy. So land buying and documentation, we do that for you. Sales and leasing, we do that for you. Sale of cashew, mangoes, coconut, orange seedling for both local and international investors. We will help you to buy the seedling. Farm management and consultancy, we are there for you. Farm plantation and establishment, we are there for you. Available lands, Techima, Kintampo, Nkransa, and Wenchi. If you call us, we would help you. Any other part of the region, but we have the bigger parcels of land there. Call us on 0243 35 6008. Let me take it again. 0243 35 6008. Other Consultancy. Thank you very much for being a part of us, the Ghanaian farmer. We are very grateful. If you're out there and you're doing anything great, you want us to promote it, reach out to us, the Ghanaian farmer, across all platforms, the Ghanaian Farmer TV. You see us. So we are wrapping up our discussion. Someone will say, but if not for the intervention of development partners like GIZ, the Dutch Embassy, what would young Ghanaians, maybe I'm in Africa, I'm maintaining here in Ghana, young Ghanaians who are unemployed, you post say we should go and do agric no so here ska near the aye. But government has their own priorities. And we, the young people, you are encouraging us, go into agriculture. It's rewarding. It creates jobs. We have issues with infrastructure deficiency. Okay, deficit, sorry. Infrastructure deficit, like road, car fasu to get to Accra and supply. Lack of, storage. Those who want to do export, they harvest. They don't have the place to keep their things. And many other market access. Some will say market woman can't because I don't have buyers. You want to cheat me, give me. Look, if not for these partners who are giving these trainings as well as some funding, what would we do? How do we, stakeholders, you are a stakeholder, I'm a stakeholder, how would we hold government accountable or responsible moving forward in terms of, funding and also technical support? What do we demand for what is due us, we farmers?
Yes, so what I would say is that the development partners, yes, they support in a way, but for whatever support they are giving, it's a win-win in most cases. It's not, I always dispute the assertion that those aids are for free. Yeah, I don't know. It's not an area I want to go in now, but whatever it is a win-win for both.
Okay.
And what I would encourage a lot of people to do, yes, there are challenges. Those ones nobody will run away from. It's as you rightly stated. When it comes to road infrastructure, cold storage infrastructure, who are doing export fresh, they need place to keep it frozen before it moves out. All those issues are there. But what I would say is that despite the challenges, there are people who are still in those areas and exporting anyway.
Right.
So once you have the passion for it, irrespective of the challenges, go in. Maybe you might be the one who is going to provide the solution.
Okay.
So don't sit back. I always tell my friends, funny enough, that look, you have a few years away from retirement.
Yes.
What happens if you turn 60 years and you go on retire? You are active every day, you go to work.
Right.
All of a sudden, they say you turn 60, you sit at home. Your whole work-life structure has changed in a day.
Yeah.
So there is the need to keep it running.
Exactly.
So I was doing a calculation with one of my friends. Despite all the challenges, assuming you have a very good land, 5 acres, and you decide to plant coconuts, let's just say coconut
Yes.
seedlings. You do that when you're at age 50.
Okay.
We're expecting by the time we turn 55 or 56, those coconuts will start yielding
Yeah.
fruits. Assuming,
Yes.
these are all based on
Yes, assumption.
Assuming that 1 acre, let me even use the barest minimum.
Yeah.
1 acre can give you 100 coconut trees, and you are doing 5 acres. Well, how many coconut trees are we talking about? That's 500
Yes.
coconut trees. In a year, if 1 coconut tree can give you 200 pieces, what are we talking about? 500 times 200. How much would that be? I don't know if we can do the mathematics. So that will tell you the number of coconut individual seed
can give you tree can get
you in a year. So 500 trees times 200. So that's about 10,000.
Yes.
If my calculation, that's about 10,000. Assuming that each of the coconuts, if you go to the market now, is 7 cedis, but you are not selling directly in the market. So let's say you are selling at half that price. So that should be 3 cedi 50 pesos. Well, let me even use the minimum. Because assuming on the farm, you are selling for 3 cedis. What is 3 cedis times 10,000? That's 30,000.
Okay.
Meanwhile, 1 acre can give you more. That is just for the hypothetical cases. I'm using the lowest. Assuming your farm operations, you even spend like half of that amount. It's just a demonstration of value. And I can tell you, where I sit, people who are already into it and are able to tell us genuinely what is happening, I can tell you that if once you have passion for it, join the right association, get started.
Okay.
And you will see that
start from somewhere. Okay, so Kweku Edu, some of us in the diaspora that want to come home and settle, what should we look for in the agri sector, from land preparation all the way to sales? Because doing business in Ghana without being present is dangerous. How can we penetrate the sales sector after you harvest? I hope you heard the question.
Yeah, I get it.
All right.
So you see, I always say that the agriculture, I keep repeating myself, is a whole value chain. Sometimes the challenge you might have is that you want to cover all the value chain yourself.
Okay.
Okay. So if you are in the diaspora, you want to invest in Ghana. Okay. I don't know of any organization that I can boldly tell you now that, okay, these are very good organizations that you can channel your money through to help you do production. But what I would say that if you have somebody who is committed and you can trust to help you invest in the sector, then that would be a good call for you to put in money. I do agree that in Ghana, when you start up your own agri-business and you are not there physically present to monitor your activities every day,
there
and
could
your
be
other
challenges.
partner is also not putting in money directly, there are several people who have entered and doesn't have very good stories to say because of the people who are managing their farms for them.
Right.
But if you have somebody who you can trust to help you do it well, why not? And you see, it's a whole chain. He's talking about investment. From the question you read, I think he have in mind production.
Yeah.
But you see, let me just break down the chain. On the agri value chain, there are so many things that happen. Production is just one bit.
Right.
When you are done with production, what is the next bit? Transportation.
Yeah.
Transportation is a whole business for somebody. His job is to have a truck, go around farm, aggregate for people, and charge per day for the rental of
the vehicle.
Somebody's own is just aggregation. I have the market. I'm going to buy. I'm going to sell. And that's also a specialized area. Okay. Then somebody's own is to add value.
Okay.
And somebody's own is to retail it for the end consumer to buy. Okay. Sometimes it becomes overwhelming when one person
is doing a lot of things.
So that's why I say that sometimes if you don't have the capacity to cover the whole chain, look for where your expertise are and fit yourself there.
And then outsource the rest.
For the diaspora people, we need them to bring the investment here. But when they are bringing it, they should also work with people that they trust and can hold accountable before putting in any investment.
Okay, we are almost at the tail end of our discussion, but my YouTube people, I apologize. Forgive me. So, Kimberly Mensah, Very glad to catch this live. It sounds like it will be powerful information. I'll definitely go back and watch from start. We have a 50-acre farm in the eastern region of Ghana. Congratulations to you, Kimberly. This is Thomas Kwame. Volume is very low. My technical team, the volume is low. Okay, Echo Mensan says, I'm struggling with the volume. I'm sorry. I'm sure it's technical things. We'll take care of that. Do forgive us. Thomas Kwame again said, okay, it's all about the volume issue. Kimberly says, how do we find these groups? Are they mostly online? The groups, the HBP and the others you mentioned. No, they are not mostly online. There's always in person. So what I'm saying is there are also online and also in person offices that you have to look for and then have business with them. Kimberly Mensah again said, I'll come for you to respond to some of them. He says, my husband has gotten help from the agriculture officer of the area our farmland is to help with the care of the cocoa nuts that was neglected for many years on our farm. He has been very helpful. Okay, big shout out to that agric officer who helped you. Okay, Thomas. Hey, Asamo. Thomas said that sound cut off. Cry. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. So that's it. Some of the comments that were on YouTube as well. I think this has been very fruitful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the last comment that you made about the agric officer.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
So it's even in the various districts. There are agric extension officers who are there, and she's just saying that the coconut farm has been abandoned for a long time.
Yes.
But once they left it in his care, they are now very happy about it. So let's seek the right information. Let's work with the right value chain people, and then we can get the results that we are looking for.
Okay.
Yeah, but
okay.
my final,
So a minute. Kimberly, no, it's not a wrong platform. You're on the right platform. The Ghanaian farmer, we are evolving. So apart from the Ghanaian farmer, we are introducing extension alerts. That one is strictly extension discussions only. You see extension officers discussing issues, how to care for your plant, the fertilizer to use, the pesticide, all those things you'll be having it. So extension alert will be once a week. We'll be uploading it on the channel. The Ghanaian farmer will definitely be twice a week. But for farming today is Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. prompt, all the way to 1 p.m., 2 hours straightforward. We'll be having very insightful conversations. So Kimberly, you're on the right platform. Kimberly says, okay, no, you are not on the wrong platform. And then he says, I think the way they help with fertilization and other implements is really good. Big shout out to that agri. I don't know him, but agri officer Kimberly, I appreciate you so much. Yes. So your final words when it comes to assessing funding for agricultural projects in Ghana. Farmers, we need money. The banks are there, but they say we are high risk. The interest rates are too much. But please, as someone who has been in this funding space for a long time, what will be your final words to both people home and abroad? What would you tell them?
all right. So as I did indicate earlier, just to recap a few of them.
Yes.